In this video, I'm going to be going in depth on how to fight and play on high ping. Although having high ping is unarguably a disadvantage, it by no means limits your potential of getting extremely good at Fortnite. Muzz just earned $100 in the recent solo cash cup on 180 ping, playing from Dallas on OCE, which proves beyond the shadow of a doubt that anyone can be good on any ping. I'm going to be going over some of the strategies you can use and some of the things you should pay attention to if you want to get good on high ping. The first topic that I'm going to be talking about are client-side actions versus server pinged actions. Client-side means anything that you can do on your screen with no delay without having to ping the server. Examples of this would be grabbing and selecting tiles of your edit or showing your blueprints in different tiles. These things feel the exact same whether you're on 0 ping or on 200 ping. Server pinged actions means anything that actually has to ping the server in order to be completed. Examples of this would be confirming edits, shooting your gun, or placing a build. All of those things feel drastically different when you're on 0 ping to when you're on 200 ping. The trick to playing on high ping is attempting to limit the amount of pinged actions between your client-side ones. For example, while double editing, instead of placing a floor, editing it, and then placing a cone and editing it, you'd want to place both at the same time and then edit through both, since you'd be going from 4 ping delete actions to only 3. Optimizing and organizing your actions will make it so that your ping has less of an effect on your gameplay. A good way to practice this is just by blueprint editing in creative and making sure you place as many builds at a time as possible and making sure you don't pull out your pickaxe or guns while you edit. You need to know what you have control over. In Fortnite, there are a variety of things to think about while you play. Being on high ping is inherently a disadvantage no matter how you cut it. So one of the best ways to be as good as someone on low ping is by optimizing the things that aren't ping reliant. Instead of trying to become the fastest editor or the best builder, try to become the smartest IGL, the best aimer, or the most creative fighter. Yes, you can become a good fighter on high ping, but if you really want to become one of the best, you need to make sure that your non-ping dependent skills are T1 to make up for the deficiency in other areas. Having really good aim can more than make up for having subpar mechanics, but I'll go more in depth on aim later in the video. Another thing that you can be extremely good at is IGLing or calling plays. In competitive, that means knowing the best rotates and when to take height, and in creative and zone wars, that can mean knowing when to chop or when to drop. The best way to practice that is by VODing your games in replays or recording them and watching them back. And it's even more efficient if you can do that with a friend who is better than you so they can tell you what they think your mistake was from their perspective. One of the biggest issues I personally struggled with ping-wise was the difference between my ping in-game and in creative. I felt like the playstyle that I developed and the way that I played in creative was completely ineffective in game. I would play creative all day and think I was really good at fighting while I was on 25 ping and then load into a tournament on 50 ping and experience a harsh awakening when I realized that my ping was actually really bad. I didn't understand why at first until I played creative on a different server and realized that my fighting on that server was the same as it was in game. Just a difference of 30 in creative to 50 in game is enough to completely change how you have to play. I've done a whole video dedicated on how you can transfer your creative skills to in-game, but to briefly summarize, the best way you can practice is either by loading onto a different region where your ping is the same as it is in game, or just by playing more real matches and avoiding creative altogether. Just giving yourself more exposure and practice on high ping will make you better at playing on it, especially for those of you that avoid playing on your real ping just because it makes you feel bad. Hands down, the most important skill on high ping is to master your aim. Since you don't have control over a lot of things, as I said earlier, master the things you do have control over. The most important thing you can master is aim, because it has nothing to do with ping and is extremely important for all aspects of the game. No matter how many walls someone takes first try, if you hit a max bump, you will win the fight. Popular coaches often talk about the percentage of importance between aim versus building and editing, and unanimously come to the conclusion that aim is more important than building and editing combined when it comes to Fortnite. If you become the best aimer, you will without a doubt become one of the best players. That's how important aim is. The best way to practice aim is first off, for keyboard players, training your mouse control. Mouse control is the foundation for all mouse movements. The best way to get good mouse control is by using out of Fortnite trainers like Kovacs. In addition to getting good mouse control, you should be playing aim duels to practice your raw aim on your Fortnite sense and FOV with the in-game guns and movement. I don't see anyone complain as much as people who are on high ping. You don't know how hard it is to play on high ping. The main thing that prevents people from improving is the mindset that they're only bad because of their ping. It makes it so that instead of taking responsibility when you die, you tend to always blame it on that circumstance. This usually leads to you blaming ping on deaths that had nothing to do with ping in the first place, just to make yourself feel better. While the short-term benefit of this is that in the moment you don't feel as bad, long-term you won't see improvement, so there's absolutely no reason to blame ping for your deaths. The best way to practice this is even when a death is directly correlated to your ping, instead of thinking, if only my ping was better, you should think, What could I have done differently so that I wouldn't have had to rely on my ping in that situation? This perfectly brings me into my next topic, which is to not rely on your ping. A problem I see in a lot of high ping players is that for whatever reason, they might trust that their wall won't get taken first try, or go for a mechanical play that isn't even possible on their ping. You have to make sure that you're playing to your means. What this means is that instead of letting someone try to take your wall, reverse your ramp so that even if they get the wall, you're safe. Instead of going for an extremely mechanical play, know your limits and go for something that is consistent and achievable. The best way to put this into practice is by watching back your gameplay and finding the habits that result in you relying on holding a wall or some other ping-based action. Eliminating those from your gameplay will definitely give you much more consistent results. One of the greatest tools in your arsenal on high ping is defensive fighting. Defensive fighting means you play out of your own build safely. This playstyle is much more easily played by high pingers because the things you need to do are not ping reliant. You can create space and then take safe angles out of the boxes you've created, and all of these things are actions that don't require ping to correctly execute. The way to practice this is by playing 1v1s where you take turns playing aggressive and defensive. That way you can both get practice at playing defensive. Playing aggressive on high ping is difficult because you can't take walls, but that gets me into my next topic perfectly. Phasing in is one of the most lethal weapons in the arsenal of a high ping player. When on high ping, you can't take walls, which is one of the best ways to end fights. Instead, what you can do is exploit into boxes. This isn't affected by ping at all. It can be done on 0 just as easily as it can be done on 200 ping. The timing would just be a little different. If you can learn to exploit with just your momentum, it'll leave no time to react and gives you a relatively easy kill. I've mentioned this map before, but it's because I genuinely believe it's an amazing tool to improve, but the best way to practice phasing in is using the phase in practice map. I'll put the code in the description, but this map holds walls for you so you can infinitely practice exploiting in without having a friend sit and hold the wall for you. Once you have this mastered, you'll be able to walk through anyone's walls and it'll make it so that you don't have to rely on taking people's walls as much. Another important thing to keep in mind when playing on higher ping is playing proactively. What I mean by this is that on lower ping, you can afford to rely on reacting to your opponent's moves in fights before deciding your course of action. The higher your ping gets, the harder it will be to pull that off. By making sure you play proactively on high ping, you forgo that risk. A great example of this would be expanding and creating extra boxes if you notice you're being pressured, instead of waiting to see if your opponent will take your wall to start taking defensive action. By predicting what will happen in the fight instead of reacting to it, you can significantly lower the disadvantages of playing on high ping. Things like expanding to create extra boxes, pre-placing builds to ensure you maintain control of the pieces in your vicinity, and blocking angles when you think you'll be shot at, instead of waiting to actually take the damage, all fall into the category of proactive gameplay. If you want a whole catalog of videos like this one that are geared towards your improvement, consider getting the masterclass. 500 plus people have gotten their first earnings shortly after purchasing the masterclass, and it's definitely worth the investment. If you are going to buy it, make sure you use the link in my description and use code DOLLA, D-O-L-L-A, for $5 off on your purchase. Thanks for watching. Use code Dollafn. No long outros. Bye.